Hi everybody, it's Menopause Barbie here joining you again for Menopause, Your Management, Your Way Now and for the rest of your life. And you're tuning into tutorial number 14. Today all you need is the outline notes. There's no book, and on the outline notes we're covering pages 13 through 15. See, we're heading now into the options for managing your menopause your way. First, we're going to discuss some of the broad principles that pertain to the various categories of options, and then later we're going to get really specific. The first category, the big category, is diet and lifestyle. And we're going to target diet as it pertains to each aspect of menopause individually, and lifestyle issues will come out in all sorts of ways. And what you'll see is that some diet and lifestyle measures come up again and again and again in our discussion about management options for menopause. So right now, I'm going to be really broad in my comments, and later I'll get really specific. So the first broad topic I'm going to give you are 4 things that impact almost everything. And those 4 things are, you probably already know these: healthy diet, regular exercise, maintenance of appropriate body weight, and refraining from smoking. You see? And sadly, only 3% of women do all 4. Now, if you were to do all 4 of those things and nothing more, let's say that's all you did, you would already be on the right path to a smoother menopause and a healthier life. But you already know that, didn't you? But you gotta be realistic. The vast majority of women don't do all these things. And you may not want to do all 4 of those things. So why kid yourself about what you will and will not do? You're allowed to just say, I'm not going to do all that. Here's the bottom line. Everything you do and everything you don't do adds up over time to create your menopausal experience. So your food choices at the grocery store, your menu choices at a restaurant, all these things add up. So right now, I'm just going to give you some dietary pearls. We're talking about some little mini topics, and these are just some dietary principles that are facts. You can apply them as you please. Your diet plays a huge part in your overall health as well as in your menopause. So one pearl is that you are what you eat, but you also are what you eat eats. You are what you eat eats. So, you can't control your diet completely, but you can make a huge difference in your health with the dietary factors that you can control. So the first dietary pearl is something I call transit time. So when it comes to a lot of cancers, especially gastrointestinal cancers, it's all about something that we call transit time. Transit time is how long it takes for your food to go from your mouth to your toilet. You see, the faster your food travels through your system, the less opportunity it has to form toxins and free radicals and all the things that cause cancer. And the longer it takes for food to sludge its way through your digestive tract, the more opportunity it has to form those things. So what's a toxin? Everyone talks about toxins. Well, toxins are the discarded parts of food. It's all the stuff your body doesn't want. It's the stuff your body doesn't need, and it causes disease. So think of it as trash. It's the rotten parts of food that your body says, let me get rid of this as fast as I can. So let's use a little demo. So I'm just using this as a prop here. What you have here are 2 French presses. We go back to our French presses. And imagine that the French press is your digestive tract. This one is a digestive tract that has high fiber, okay? This person is eating high fiber. And look when this person eats food, the transit time is very fast. Boom, 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 boom. The fiber goes through the system super fast. And it doesn't have time to cause any cancer. It doesn't have time to emit its toxins. This is the digestive tract of a person who eats foods high in animal fat, preservatives, insecticides, and all kinds of junk food. Here's how it works. The digestive tract just moves slowly. Its ability to move the toxins, the food, the sludge through the system is so slow because it can't push it through. It's too full of junk. So the time that this one has to develop cancer is huge. And this one, no time to develop anything problematic. So that is the difference in the two kinds of lifestyle eating, okay, in terms of how you choose to eat your diet. So now, let's go to another pearl and talk about seasonal foods. You know, plant-based foods like this cantaloupe, these things are supposed to be seasonal. They grow in different kinds of soil and in different times of year in different places. And when you can get a seasonal food all year round, it's because it was grown either under artificial conditions or someplace really far away and transported miles and miles and miles into your kitchen, or it was picked long before it was ripe. And it was possibly ripened under artificial conditions. I mean, look at this avocado. I mean, this thing is hard as a rock. I mean, I can't even put a dent in this thing. Look at it. This isn't the way an avocado is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be rock hard when you pick it. It's supposed to be soft and ready to eat. Pearl number, whatever it is, processed foods. The more authentic a food, the better its nutrients. So your raw foods are going to have the most nutrients. Here's a mango. It's raw. It's going to have a lot of nutrients. Here, it's a package of dried mango slices. Well, they still have mango in them, but in addition to mango, they have a preservative called sodium metabisulfite. Okay, not the end of the world, but it's important to know the difference. Here's another package of mango, and it is mango cubes, dried fruit, but with sugar coating. So this one has the mango and cane sugar and a preservative, the same preservative, sodium metabisulfite. The difference is huge in terms of what your digestive system has to do. So fast foods and packaged foods, things like frozen foods, are more processed. They're convenient, but that's inversely proportional to the nutritional value. So all these things that you find in a package that are powdered, that are easy, that are instant, they're great, they're delicious, we love them. I mean, we love this stuff, right? But it's not as healthy for your body. So think about things like preservatives and processed foods. You know, another thing, your food is not supposed to last for weeks or months. And when you get frozen and canned and packaged foods that are full of preservatives, you know, there's stuff in them. I mean, you know, these are fantastic, but they aren't as healthy as a plain potato. When you buy something like a loaf of bread, you know, a loaf of bread, this bread expires in December. Currently, it's April. That's crazy. You know, I mean, bread is supposed to go bad. If you lived in certain parts of the world, if you lived in France, you wouldn't be able to keep your bread until tomorrow. It would be a complete moldy mess by tomorrow. There's not a single molecule of preservative in it. But packages like this, big packages, you know, great big wholesale brand packages of 12 and 15 in a package, they're full of preservatives. So when you buy those big packages, ask yourself, am I saving money at the expense of my health? Okay, let's go on to animal versus vegetable. You see, it matters a great deal whether your diet is animal-based or vegetable-based. I mean, these two things, huge difference, huge. Animal-based diets, this kind of stuff, it's high in animal fat, which is the bad fat. There's some fish that are the exception. But in general, it's high in bad fat. It contains tons of hormones, and it slows your transit time because of all that bad fat. As opposed to a diet high in vegetables, which is high in omega-3 fats, which are the good fats, and high in fiber, which of course speeds up your transit time. So the healthiest diets are going to be the vegetable diets in terms of what your digestive system thinks. Okay, this is not about what tastes good, it's about what your digestive system thinks. So let's talk about meat some more. Do you really know where this meat came from? Do you know what it ate while it was alive? And do you know how many hormones there are in this? You know, these are things that you have to think about. Think about insecticides and pesticides. You know, insects, they like food too. And to keep the insects from eating the food we want, farmers use pesticides and insecticides. Pesticides and insecticides are meant to kill insects. Well, that means they're toxins. They remain in the foods. You don't know how much is in there, and they're hard for your body to digest. So you need to think about that when you're buying things. Make sure food is clean. Many times organic foods don't have any of that. It's a choice you make. Sometimes the expense gets in the way, but it's all a choice. The next pearl, you're going to love this one, especially the guys. I mean, here we go. The better your diet, the more you fart. Because it's all about transit time. And the faster your transit, the more you fart. Farting is directly related to how much fiber you eat. I hate to be blunt, but that's really the truth. The better your diet, the more you fart. Have you ever heard of lactose intolerance? Lactose, that's the substance that's in dairy products that makes them dairy products. So your milk, your cheese, your yogurt, all have lactose. Have you ever heard of lactose intolerance? Lactose intolerance is when you cannot digest the lactose that is in dairy products. You see, as we age, we lose the enzyme necessary to digest dairy products. The name of that enzyme is lactase. Lactase deficiency produces lactose intolerance. So as you get older, you don't have enough of it to handle the dairy products. So if you have lactose intolerance, the symptoms you might notice are some degree of digestive difficulty when you ingest any dairy products. You might get gas, you might get bloating, you might get some stomach cramps or diarrhea, you might get constipated. You know, it's kind of like that book, Who Moved My Cheese? Great book. It can be difficult to move your cheese if you have lactose intolerance. But that's not what the book is about. Anyway, if you have partial lactose intolerance, it means that you can digest some dairy products, but not others. And the ones you can digest are partially degraded. So for instance, you may not be able to handle this milk, but if you cook it, you can. And the reason you can handle cooked milk is because the cooking partially digests the lactose. It degrades it to the point where your body doesn't have to do all the work itself. Some people can eat yogurt, but they can't drink milk. Some people can have certain types of cheese, like goat cheese, because it's more degraded. So these are things that make a difference in what works for you. You know, I've discovered that most adult humans have some degree of difficulty digesting dairy products. So they either get gassiness when they drink milk, or they have constipation from cheese, or they're able to eat yogurt but not ice cream. You know, you might be one of them. So ask yourself, might it be that we're not supposed to keep eating dairy? I mean, how many animals continue to ingest dairy products beyond the stage of weaning? Humans are the only ones. We are the only ones. How many animals ingest the dairy product of a different animal? Humans are the only ones. I can't tell you how many patients I've helped with this one little fact about lactose intolerance. You know, they've gone and they've had all this stomach problems, all these problems, they've seen all these other physicians, and I, the gynecologist, am the one who figures out that it's simply lactose intolerance from eating milk products. And they come back in and go, why didn't anyone else still figure that out? I'm like, I don't know, I think about basic, simple things, I guess. Okay, the next pearl, eating out versus eating in. Sorry to tell you this, but your weight is proportional to how much you eat out. You know, and eating out includes eating on the run and eating in airports and on airplanes and ordering in and all that stuff that we like to do. And you know, the bottom line is you don't really know what's in restaurant food. And you know, the restaurant may be using all these preserved things and processed foods and just fixing them up to make them look fresh and healthy. So the better your diet, the healthier your diet, the harder it is to eat out. You see, societal pressure doesn't work in your favor if you're trying to be a health nut. If you want to eat well, it ain't easy. You know, society pressures you to eat a bunch of sweets and junk food and drink a bunch of alcohol. So think about that. And if you're really thinking about trying to make your diet better, consider eating at home more and preparing things yourself. What about skipping meals? You know, contrary to popular belief, skipping meals does not make you lose weight. The opposite is true. it makes you gain weight because it slows down your metabolism. Okay? And the one meal you never want to skip is breakfast, because breakfast jumpstarts your body and says, get going, get going. It dictates your metabolism. So let's talk about our French press examples again. I love these French press things. They just work for so many things. Remember, this is the person with the fast metabolism. Here it is, the fast metabolism. You eat frequently. It pushes it through, pushes it through, pushes through. Your body gobbles all that food up as it goes through. It just knows it's going to get fed again. If your body says, oh, I can gobble this up, I can digest this, I can metabolize this, boom, 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 boom. I know I'm going to get another meal very, very soon. It's easy. But if you don't eat frequently and you have this person where they're eating once a day or so, your body says, oh, I better hold on to this food. I better not use it up. I don't know when I'm gonna get fed again. Let me hold on to this. Don't use it up. Don't use it up. Hold on, hold on. That slows down your metabolism. That's the difference. You know, have you ever seen a really morbidly obese person who said, but I only eat once a day? They do. But they've trained their bodies to store it all as fat. That's why they're huge. So the more frequently you eat, the more quickly your body metabolizes food. Go back to basics. When you were a baby, how often did you eat? Every 2 hours, didn't you? Why did that change? It changed for social reasons. It did not change for biologic reasons. We change our diet like no other animal on earth. Every other animal that can eat frequently does. Humans are the only animals who say, oh, instead of eating every 2 hours, let's eat every 5 or 6. It's not a natural thing to do. So eating more frequently makes your metabolism faster. What about dining times? You know, as chic as eating out and eating late may be, it isn't the best thing for your body. Your body wants you to eat your last meal about 3 hours, 4 hours before you go to bed. That way it can go to bed and sleep without having to work on digestion all night. And you know, in countries where the dinner time is like 10 p.m., those people stay up till 2 a.m., so they're not going to bed immediately after their meals. These are all just things to think about. What about your biggest meal of the day? Have you ever heard that riddle that goes, eat breakfast like a king, lunch like I think it's a prince, but we're going to say queen because we're all menopausal women, and dinner like a pauper? It's true. Your largest meal should be earliest in the day. And if you don't like a big breakfast, have a big lunch instead of a big dinner. You see, you're just trying to find things that work for you. And that might require a little experimentation. You know, when you're trying to figure out what works for you, you have to try some experimental diets to figure out what works best for your body, okay? You want to do some diet, lifestyle changes, but you don't want to do dieting. Dieting is where you have the beginning and the end of your diet, and for this period of time, you're going to be deprived. That's not going to work, because if it has an end, you're going to go back to your old habits. And then you're going to find that you're in the same situation. So don't do dieting, just find diets that work for you. And if you don't experiment, you're never going to know what's best for your body. You know, I became a vegan when I was 16 years old. I was doing research at a medical school one summer, and I was curious. So I became a vegan for 2 weeks, and I felt so much better that I never went back to eating meat or dairy or milk or animal products. And so I've been a vegan now for 41 years. That's for me. That works for me, but everyone is different. You may not want to be a vegan. You may not want to try being a vegan, but do listen to your body. And remember that your brain, your taste buds, and your digestive tract may not agree. Make changes using baby steps and see what works best for you. Okay, here's a biggie. Water. Water. Whatever your diet, drink loads of water. This stuff is magic. It flushes out all those toxins, it gets rid of all the overindulgent stuff, it gets rid of all the sludge, it makes your skin happy and pretty, it prevents urinary tract infections. Water is like the most important thing of all. And on the flip side of that, you're going to hate me for this now, but alcohol. Okay, alcohol. We love it, but there's no nutritional value. It's just social value. It constitutes lots of calories, and it has addictive properties in addition to dehydrating you. And with time, it eventually interferes with your sleep. Sorry. Now, I am sure that you've all heard that 2 glasses of red wine a day is good for you. So my question is, good for you in what way? Okay, so here we have 2 glasses of red wine. Yum, yum. No, I'm not going to drink them, don't worry. But here's the truth. So often we generalize comments about what's good for us or what's bad for us. And the fact is you have to be specific. Alcohol is good for some things and it's bad for other things. So it depends on what you're talking about. Later in this video, when I start teaching you about all the diseases that are affected by how you manage your menopause, we're going to talk about some things like this. I'm going to be teaching you how to know if you're at risk for certain diseases. And 3 of the diseases we'll discuss are going to be heart attack, osteoporosis, and breast cancer. So I'm going to use those 3 diseases as examples to demonstrate this need to be specific about what's good for you and what's bad for you. Okay, let's say you're at risk for a heart attack. If you're at risk for a heart attack, drink your wine. 2 glasses of red wine are great for you if you're at risk for a heart attack because it decreases your risk for a heart attack. Not bad, huh? But let's say you're at risk for osteoporosis. If you're at risk for osteoporosis, the same 2 glasses of red wine, borderline, not so good for you because it can slightly increase your risk for osteoporosis. Let's say you're at risk for breast cancer. If you're at risk for breast cancer, these same 2 glasses of red wine a day increase your risk for breast cancer. You see, it just depends on what you're talking about. I had a woman at one of my seminars once, and we went through all this stuff about the diseases, and I talked about the wine, and she was at risk for breast cancer. And when I got to this business of red wine not being good for people with breast cancer, she just slapped the table and said, "Well, I'm not giving up my wine." And I looked at her and I said, "Good for you." I was so happy she did that because what it demonstrated was you don't have to get rid of everything you love. You don't have to give up what you love. You can enjoy what you want to do, and you can, if you know what specifically something is good for or bad for, you can apply that and do what you want. See, I'm going to be teaching you all sorts of things like that, things that could save your life. So be really careful with these generalizations. Even if you know something's bad for you, you can do it anyway. That's what this series on managing your menopause your way is all about. Okay, let's talk now about package labeling, the labels on food packages. Start reading those. What you discover is going to shock you. There is so much misrepresentation on the fronts of food package. So when you look at a package, when you grab a package of food, notice 2 things. Notice the ingredients and notice the nutrition information. So let's talk about each of those for a moment. Now, when it comes to ingredients, you might not even be able to pronounce some of the ingredients. You might not be able to identify things. So here we have a package of food. I'm looking at this with a magnifying glass. That's one of the things. They make it so small that you can't read it. Okay, so here's a package and it says, okay, this has in it dextrose thickener E412, flavor enhancers E627 and E631. It has emulsifiers E469 and E466, stabilizers, contains potassium chloride. I mean, come on. It's supposed to be a little thing of chicken. If you can't pronounce some stuff, or it's a bunch of numbers instead of food things that you've never heard of before, maybe it has too much preservatives and junk in it for you to really want it. Just be aware. Pay attention to those ingredients. And pay attention to the order of the ingredients. The order, they're listed in order of quantity. And if you find corn syrup as the first ingredient, it's full of sugar. What about the nutrition label, that box? That box, that nutrition information follows a standard pattern. So it makes it really easy to assess the nutritional value of various foods. And because they're all standard, you can hold 2 foods up to next to each other and compare the 2 boxes and see which one you prefer. And even if you don't know how to read these nutrition labels, just take a look. Some things are going to jump out at you, even if you're brand new at it. So here's what a nutrition label looks like. It's a box that has all these things like energy, protein, your carbohydrates, your fats, your fiber, and your sodium. And the one you're looking at now is blank. I've simplified it by getting rid of all the numbers because sometimes all those numbers can be a bit overwhelming. But if you have trouble with this, go to a nutritionist or a dietitian for help. They'll love helping you. They'll even take you to a grocery store and teach you how to use that information, teach you how to compare things. Just remember, once it's in your kitchen, you're probably going to eat it. And the only way you're going to actually reject it is probably to leave it at the grocery store. So just do that. It's so much easier. Okay, I've given you a lot of little dietary pearls today. They're just facts. You can utilize them as you please. Now, I know there are some at which you scoffed and said, Menopause Barbie, if you think I'm going to be a vegan or move my cheese or give up my wine, you're nuts. Well, yeah, I'm nuts. But the good news is that you get to choose what you'll do and what you won't do. And if you know that you're doing one thing that's bad for you, you can balance it with another thing that's good for you. Just try to balance things out. You don't have to do everything. You're entitled to some leeway. I'm not here to judge you. I'm not even here to tell you what to do. I'm unbiased, and you know yourself better than anyone else does. So be kind to yourself, respect your choices, and I will too. Okay, that does it for today. Next time, we're going to go on a field trip. We're going to go see a dietitian, nutritionist, and the time after that, I'm going to give you some lifestyle pearls. Okay, I'll say goodbye for now. Thanks for coming. I hope that helped. See you later. Bye.